Hi guys, welcome to the Fashionpreneur Talk with Gitana Styling podcast. If you don't know me, my name is Sandra. I'm a fashion stylist, a podcaster, and a business consultant. And this podcast is about having genuine conversations about fashion entrepreneurship and getting your questions answered. So if you have any questions at all, please email me at info@gitanastyling.com. Gitana is Gitana styling.com. I will leave a link below for you anyways, okay? Now, I want to invite you to join us inside our free Facebook group, Fashion Entrepreneur Club Hangout. In there, I answer questions, I share resources, I host events. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link also for you. Last but not least, I have a free resource for you that it's great if you're just starting your business and you don't know the steps to follow and put together a plan, or maybe you have been in business for a while but it's not really working well, it's not really working as you expected. Then these guides are for you. They're completely free. I'm going to leave a link below. It's just 3 guides that you get via email, and I walk you through the process so you can create that plan that really works for you and your business. Okay, so without further ado, let's just get started with the podcast. Hey guys, I'm so excited for this episode. I have an amazing guest with us here today. Her name is Evelina, and she is a fashion copywriter, right? Who can help you write high performing email marketing campaigns, okay? Also, she helps you with your website, with your social media, any writing that you need for your fashion business, okay? And she has worked with over 50 brands in the business, in fashion business, and also lifestyle, from big names from Amazon to some up and smaller brands like Luna and Sun. She has been featured in a lot of different media, exciting ones like Copyrighted Podcast, the Course Corrector, The Daily Grind, Marketing Espresso, so many. And I'm just so excited to have her here with us today. Evelina, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for such a warm welcome, Sandra. I'm so excited to be here and talk to you.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. You touch on a subject that is dear to me. I started this whole thing as a writer. Actually, I'm a writer. I still write every day. I think we have that passion in common, and I work with magazines along this journey. So I'm very happy to talk about this topic with you because I feel like a lot of people need help in this topic. And you have a fascinating background, and I just want you to tell the audience a little bit more about you and how this came about.
Yeah, we definitely connect there on many levels, which is really exciting to explore and talk about. But for me, I studied fashion design, but I was always very entrepreneurial. I was writing little books and I was also freelancing for different magazines throughout university. And as I got to the end of my degree, I realized, oh, I really love this middle point of like business, marketing, writing, and fashion. I was also really burnt out from a really long, exhausting, I can say toxic fashion degree. And I feel like a lot of your listeners will probably relate to this too. And it really made me question like what kind of future and lifestyle do I want to have in like 5 years and 10 years time. And I'm really glad I came to that epiphany quite early on. So I ended up traveling. I lived overseas and I worked with all these different startups and different types of companies, from really tiny to small to accelerator programs to not-for-profit, impact-driven ones. And I absolutely loved it. I was like, wow, this is my place.
Mhm.
And I was helping them more with that marketing, writing elements, and it came quite naturally to me. I also did some training and studying. And as COVID started to hit, I said, okay, I came back I was living in Berlin, came back to Australia, and I thought, well, it's now or never. This is the perfect moment. We're locked inside. So I just went really, really in. I did a whole bunch of different programs. I'm still constantly always enrolled in learning new skills. And once I stumbled upon copywriting specifically, I just knew that that was my thing because it was blending all those elements together. And I could just see the impact I was able to have on different businesses and business owners because I was working with them one on one. And it was just really meaningful to see that difference that I could make and still be in this fashion space, which I then recovered from my burnout and was like, I'm ready to go back into this industry. So that's how I came to where I am today. And now I work in my own business and I help business owners in the fashion space, particularly the ones like, your business selling online courses and supporting and doing coaching with their content and copywriting because it's very content heavy business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I love it. And I love how you share it because, some people that are listening, they're just starting out. And some people that are in that place where you were a few years ago, where you're like, what am I going to do further along? Like when I'm sharing this because I went through the same thing. When I went to school for writing and for production. And I started, very young doing TV commercials and music videos and then fashion shows. And it was so excited and it was so great, but it was so heavy. Like I felt really burnt out because after a fashion week, for example, I couldn't even walk the next day. It was just, and I'm like, what am I going to do when I don't know, when I have kids and, it's just, and so I love how you turn it all around and incorporated all those elements of the things that you've learned and how you made it into what works for you, and you continue to share your gifts and talents with your community. So one of the writings that you focus on is email marketing, and you say that email marketing, you can use it or you can see it as your business insurance to back up your audience. And I love this idea. I talk about this also all the time, but I want you to tell them what does that mean for you?
Yeah, so I really focus on email marketing because when you look at all the other marketing social media touch points, especially the ones where, you're a business owner, you're doing everything yourself and you're focusing on growing your TikTok, your Instagram, potentially your LinkedIn, whatever else, Pinterest, and you put like 80% of your energy there. And a lot of the time, like, and I think it's also like, the information we get online and from society because it's that quick win, like, oh, grow your online following, the metrics, the more likes you get, the more purchases. But that's not true. What social media does amazingly is let other people who have no idea about you know about you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to buy from you, especially when there's so much scamming, there's so many fake things out there online now. Customers and clients, they're so careful, like they really do their research. So the chance of somebody seeing one ad from you or one discovering one new reel and then purchasing from you is close to zero. I would say the amount of touch points that somebody needs is just going up, up, up. So the great thing about email is once you've built that audience, and there's actually two big reasons why email is amazing. One is when you've built that online audience, because yes, it is important also, then to leverage that and put them onto your email list, because that's going to be the people that are most excited about what you do and most likely to buy. And it gives you that opportunity to speak to them one-on-one in your inbox and also nurture that relationship over time. And when we look at social media, when somebody's looking at your content, there's all these other reels and ads on top of yours and beneath yours. So you can get distracted so easily and so quickly, even simply like checking one of your reels and then you've tagged somebody and that person looking at it gets excited, clicks up, they're gone. So email, when they're reading it, they're only reading your content. And so that's one big reason. And I can see you nodding along, so it's great. You
I agree
agree.
100%.
And the second one, which I think a lot of people underestimate, or maybe even think, oh, this won't be me, like it happens, but it won't be me, is these platforms crash or you can get hacked. And we've seen that happen time and time again. And I honestly hope it doesn't happen ever to any of like you or your listeners because it's really devastating working on an account and building year after year. And then like within a second, it's gone. So email is that way of being like, okay, I've built this audience. Just say I've got 5,000 followers or people in my community. Let me transfer as many as possible onto my email list because if it does crash and you can't speak to those people, you have them in your email list. You own that data, you own that list. If you want to change the company you send the emails from, you take those email addresses with you and you put them wherever you want to put them, and you have direct contact with your audience. So it's really, that's why I call it a business backup system, because it's so important. And that way, even if something goes wrong, you can just go to bed and sleep fine, knowing that if it crashes, you can still communicate with your audience. How do you feel about it? Because I know you're quite active on both platforms.
Yeah, I totally agree. I haven't experienced it personally, be close to it because of, but somehow it has gotten fixed. But I've been with other coworkers who have experienced it, and it's devastating, like you say. So I always tell people the same thing. You need to have a backup plan. Whether that's cell phone numbers for you, because some people are nowadays doing a lot of text marketing, or if it's email, which is my favorite, like you're saying, you need to have that database, because that's the gold mine of the business, right? The only way that you can communicate with your audience and continue to do business and continue to be a part of their life is if you have that link. And in social media, unfortunately, if it goes away, it's gone, and it's very hard for you to start building that once again. So I totally agree. And it's a topic that it's not talked enough, because like you say, nowadays, especially the newer generations, they're all about social media, which is amazing, and social media is super powerful. But once you get that attention, what do you do with that, right? What's the next thing, especially if you're building a business? So I wanted to ask you, what are some tips that you can share with the audience, to start switching those followers, turning them into actual subscribers for that email list of yours?
Yeah, you can do that in a really simple, clear way, especially if you're just getting started and you're doing it yourself, to not overcomplicate things. Because I know, if you're on all these different channels and you're like, oh, adding another one, like it's so much work. It really doesn't have to be. There's quite a few different platforms to choose from, so just have a look at the different plans. A very popular one with creators is Kit, and then for more like product-based businesses, Klaviyo is quite popular, but there's a lot, and I'm not saying like go get this one, just check which one like works for you, and you can experiment as well. And so what I would recommend is there needs to be a reason why your audience would join your email list. Like they're not going to join for absolutely no reason. Well, they might, probably your very, very loyal followers will. But if you were to create if say you're a service-based business, a giveaway like a guide or creating a quiz, it's called a lead magnet. So something that will be really solve a problem for your audience, but in exchange, they will give you their email address, and everyone knows how it works now. So they know, like, they're getting something of value that will be really helpful for them. But in exchange, they're giving you their email address, and they're going to receive emails from you. Think we live in a digital world. We just know that's how it works. If somebody doesn't want that, they can unsubscribe from you in the future. But I would say map out this lead magnet and then connect it to your emails. So then every time somebody joins your email list, they get this lead magnet, and then you can follow up and send them more emails called a welcome sequence. So you can introduce yourself, share a little bit more and why you're doing what you're doing, to build that like initial trust on a more deeper level. They get to know you as a person. Even just thinking about how, when you're dating, like you're getting to know someone, you start like sharing more personal things once you meet them in person rather than when you're texting online. And then you can move into doing, say, like weekly emails or every 2 weeks, just whatever works for your schedule, not overwhelming yourself too much. It has to be realistic to the time you have available. And the other thing is to promote it. For example, if you've got this new lead magnet, you can post it in your stories because your audience is checking there. You can make a few posts or reels about it as well. I encourage you to put it in stories a lot as well, because they disappear in 24 hours, so you don't look spammy, so you can post it a couple of times a week. and it's going to be different people that see it. And even if it's the same people looking, like it's fine if they'll just scroll through or they won't even remember that you posted
Yeah,
this a couple of days ago. You know,
totally.
we live in such a content world. That would be like my suggestion, like map out like a really quick, easy funnel
Yeah,
and start implementing. And then as you learn, you can change things, enhance it, whatever it is you want to do.
totally. I think it's just I always tell my customers that it's a natural progression. It's building a relationship, right? So you bump for the first time to each other. You kind of like each other. You like what you're selling. I like the product or I like the service. Maybe in the future I would like to do something. Then they can sign up. They can start to get to know you, right, with the emails and everything, and then you start developing that relationship until there's trust and like and know and all of that stuff to feel comfortable buying, right? So a lot of people get they don't make that extra step, which is crazy to me, but and that's why I love having you here, because I know a lot of this stuff we've heard it, but we need to hear it again and again. And I love having a fresh new perspective from you. You are very good at what you do, and you're very professional, and I see how you communicate with people, which is also another gift that you have, because you're good at your copy, writing your copy, which is awesome as well. The other thing I wanted to ask, since you have worked with so many brands, different industries, different brands within the fashion industry, what do you recommend when it comes to, if you're selling a physical product, right? We have a lot of listeners who are selling, their collections or maybe makeup or beauty products. And then we have the other group like me that are stylists and they sell consulting or styling services or things like that, coaching. So do you see a difference in there on these lead ins or opt-ins that you're creating? What do you recommend when it comes to services and products?
Yeah, it's a good question because I would definitely have a separate strategy for both because they're different business models. For example, when you're selling products, like it's typically a lower price point than say coaching or consultancy or courses. Yeah, so, and there's different motivators that drive somebody to buy from you. Like if it's a product, say it's a swimwear line, then you're probably looking for something new for the summer. It's getting warmer, and the amount of nurturing that someone needs to do is a bit less. It's also, especially in fashion, it's such a visual industry. We are aesthetic people. So leaning into that, if you are selling products, I would encourage you to do that. And so inserting more images into your emails, making them look nice, but making sure the words that are there are clear as well and not overloading it with words. Because that's one thing I see a lot of, especially small business owners do. I think because when you're working in your business, you're so excited, you want to share everything. You're like, I have this, I have this, I have this.
Mhm.
But pick one theme or one topic or one product for each email and make sure that button that you have, the call to action, just leads to one particular point. Because as soon as you start adding more, those conversion rates drop like crazy. Yeah. So it's better you just send two emails for two separate things, then try and squish everything together. And then on the technical side, the email spam filters, the more you start stuffing it, the more they start spamming it and putting it into the promotions or spam tab as well. And another thing that not so many product-based businesses do, which I would encourage you to do, and that's similar to the more styling service-based side, is sending text only emails because a lot of your listeners, like they're small business owners, they're doing it all themselves. Maybe they have like an assistant or somebody that helps them a little bit, but it's more from them. So you are the brand, even if you're selling a product. So get in your inbox and just write out a few emails, even if you're launching a new product. What could be a nice idea is speaking from the heart, like, why did you make this product? What motivated you? Why are you excited about it? And then linking it to it. And then it also seems less salesy. It's more like you communicating with your audience. So find that balance that works for you. Because of course, those visual ones in e-com, like, big agencies and big companies, they have money to test everything. There's a reason why they why
Yeah.
they use them. So kind of follow what you can see is working in the bigger companies as well. And then when we look at the more service-based, like coaching, consultant, information, digital products, that's very quite text heavy because it's almost like you're the founder, you're speaking with your audience. You need to do a little bit more nurturing and that education around it, which happens through words. So I would, yeah, go for like the text ones. Don't overcomplicate it. Again, one email, one story, like one idea or one lesson. Make it really personal. Of course, when there's a promotion or something, it does make sense to plug in something a little bit more salesy, but your audience won't mind if they receive valuable emails from you. Because if you're selling information and knowledge, then your emails should be reflecting that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. And also, I feel like, a lot of people feel a little overwhelmed with this topic, which I always try to, you know, make everything very simple. And I love how you're doing, for example, for the products, for the services, how to write from the heart and write maybe less, and because people are busy. And then with the other one, with products, include more images. Really, in here, you always have to think about the other person, right? The person reading, getting that email. What would they want to consume, right? What would be the most effective thing? Sometimes we, as you mentioned, get so excited because we love what we're doing, and we know so much and we want to help and we want to share, but sometimes that's not the most effective way to go about it, right?
Exactly. It has to be respectful to the other person on the other side. And typically, when it's your brand and your business, you are almost like that end customer because you created this to solve your own pain points. So it's basically you're speaking to yourself
Yeah.
X years ago, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So
Yeah.
think about like who were you at that stage in your life and what would you have wanted to hear? What would have made you feel better? What would have helped you with X, Y, Z? And go with that. And you've mentioned yourself, Sandra, that email for you is such a big part of your business. Like, I'd love to know how you structure it.
It is. And that's actually what I was gonna ask you next, because for me, I always tell people, I always tell people, use what works for you, right? I'm here to teach you all these different ways of how you can do something, but at the end, it's up to you because everyone's different and everyone has a different audience, a different product, different weaknesses, with different strengths. Maybe perhaps because I love writing and because I think about, like you said, the person receiving the email and what would I like to receive in that email that just helps me to right away do it. Maybe that's why it works for me. I don't know. But for me, the number one conversion tool is definitely email. It's the one that, we have great success with social media and with video and with different things, with ads and things like that. But for me, email, when I send an email, I can see the impact, right? And that's why I always encourage people, hey, give it a shot, try it out, get someone, follow someone like yourself to, really get into it, get the help that you need, or start testing it, because it can really move your business forward. And I know that for you, you've mentioned that the return on investment is like 36 to 1. So it is actually the channel that has the higher conversions. So I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that. But to finish answering your question, yes, for me, we try different things. Social media is a big part of I believe in creating content and then sharing it on social media and then bringing people in to a more private place like the email and our Facebook group to have those conversations. And I find that in email, that's where people can hit reply and ask me something personal. That's where people can ask me, hey, I know you were doing a promotion and I missed it. Can I still get the coupon? Like, that's where those kind of conversations happen, for me at least.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of business owners would agree with you. I can see it in my own metrics too. There's great replies, and you can even see exactly who opened it to. So you can see not just the percentage of opens and clicks, but who are those most engaged customers. And then if something, then you can get in touch with them on socials or however, just to check in. Maybe they just need that little bit of extra personal touch to get them over the line. And email really gives you that opportunity to track everything and to, yeah, connect more deeply.
Totally. And I feel like whoever gives you the email, I know that nowadays, everybody can give you an email and then you can unsubscribe. But still, I feel like giving someone your email, it's more than following someone on social media. It's more than joining a Facebook group or a whatever group or following someone on TikTok, because you want to receive that information, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, some people, there's a percentage that they don't know how to say no and they will give it to you, right? But for the most part, it's because there's an interest there. There's something that you have that they want to know more about. So even though we know that not everybody's going to read every email and all of that, being top of mind, being in that email once a week, for example, or every 2 weeks or whatever works for you, and giving that person that email is because it shows that there's an interest in there, you know?
Totally. And what you say with top of mind is so relevant because not everyone is ready to buy from you
Oh, yeah.
right now. That's like a 3% of people are. So everybody else, like when they're thinking, when they're ready, because also like you don't want to push somebody unless they're in that space. Everyone has their reasons for being able to invest in something new or not. When they're ready, they'll think of you first and foremost because you've been popping up and they've been engaging with your content and they like the way you come across and they feel like they know you already,
Mm-hmm.
because they've been a part of that journey and you've been sharing things with them.
Yeah, totally, totally. So, what would you recommend for people who don't do email marketing at all, who haven't done it before, or that maybe they've done it from time to time, but they always fall off the wagon and they do it two, three, they do it for a month, and then never again. What would you recommend to them? What is like a basic, simple strategy, or what tips can you give them to get them rolling with that?
Yeah, I think consistency is the trickiest part. So what you were saying before is like work out a schedule that works for you. If it's not realistic for you to do 2 emails a week, don't do it because then you'll do it for 1 week, 2 weeks, something will come up and you'll drop off and that's it. If it makes sense for you to even start with one a month for 3 months, get comfortable, then you're in the routine and then do one every 2 weeks and then do it once a week. I feel like once a week is super okay. Like you don't need to put more pressure on yourself. And the other suggestion is use content that you're already working on because we already have so much content in our work that we do. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Use what you already have. And one tactic that I like to give my clients and I use for myself is even information that you're having conversations, like say you've sent a voice note to a friend about something happened, you can use that voice note,
Yeah.
transcribe it, and turn it into an email, or you can take in like things you've said in meetings or calls, especially now, we all have those AI plugins. You can literally copy and paste things you've said yourself, so it's your words in your language, and turn it into an email. And it also sounds a lot more natural because for a lot of people, if you're not a writer naturally, to sit down in front of a blank screen and write an email can be very stressful and anxiety provoking. So having that starting point just takes the pressure off. So work it into your weekly or monthly marketing strategy, how you plan out your social media content, just add in an extra line on the grid or however you plan it for that email
Yeah.
once every 2 weeks and get comfortable with it. And with time, I think you'll feel that it's a really enjoyable channel as well. Like I love writing my emails and putting it together. It can just be an extension of a post you've done, or you can do the reverse. You can write the email first and then be like, I'm going to break this up into two two
Yeah.
posts, so I'm going to turn it into a reel. So just look at it as another piece of content.
Totally, totally. I always I always am a big fan of creating one big piece of content a week and then repurposing it. And I that aligns with what you're saying so much. I think that another thing I want to say is for people who are listening and they're like, oh my God, now I have to write, now I have to come up with some, a piece of content or whatever. I remember I've been part of different memberships along this journey, and honestly, there's been so many different styles, but something you mentioned about sending a voice note that maybe you sent to a friend or a colleague, or something you said in a meeting, when I get those kind of emails, those are my favorite. I remember being part of a particular membership that this girl, every time something would come up, that's the kind of thing she would send. Like, she discovered this app that does this thing that we're working on in that business, and she just sends it, and she's like, this is how I do it, this is blah 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 blah. Those kind of emails to me are the most satisfying, because I want to know how you're making it happen. And that's part of that honesty, that rawness. I like it. And you can still be professional and everything about it, but I feel like those tips are the things that we want the most. So I totally agree with you with that tip. um the other thing I wanted to ask you, for people listening and they're like, okay, Evelina, I need you in my life. I need help with this area. Do you want to tell them a little bit more about your offerings? You help them with frameworks, you help them, you write for them. Like, how does it work? How can they work with you?
Yeah, so I help business owners at different stages of their business, because for some people, if they have already their email set up, they're just overwhelmed or they don't have a clear strategy. I can come in and I can work with you and write your monthly or weekly emails. And especially if you're working towards like a launch or a promotion, those emails are really important because there's different strategies of writing it to really increase your conversions as well. Even simple things like headlines make a difference. So it is worth, working with an email marketing professional on that, whether that's me or somebody else. And for somebody who's just getting started, I created a new offer because I kept like hearing this, and I was like, oh, I'd like to help people who are a little bit overwhelmed, but they understand the value of getting their email marketing set up. And it's basically a package where I will help take you from, I have an online audience, but I have no email and I don't know how to capture them, to set up that really clear and simple system that then, once finished doing that for you, you can continue and do it all yourself without feeling stressed or overwhelmed. I've also got a couple of free guides that could be helpful as well, just as a starting point too. One is a swipe file of headlines that I've used myself in different emails, so I know they work, as because for headlines they're so important, because unless someone opens your email to begin with and clicks on it, as amazing as the copy or the content inside of it, they will have no idea if they haven't even opened it in the first place. So your very first task with emails is to get that open. So that's a guide where there's some templates that you can use with some best practices to help you for some quick wins. And another one is a calculator I've created specifically for creators who sell with affiliate links, where, because I've noticed a lot like don't have a list, and that's such a big gap, where you can plug in some of your numbers, like how big your audience is and kind of roughly what you make from each sale, to see if you were to send X amount of emails a week, how much money you could be missing out on. So that's a good one to
That's
check
cool.
out. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. I'll make sure to include those links, guys, below the freebies, the guides that she has, her offerings, her socials, so you can follow her as well. We've been talking like 30 minutes about email marketing. This is the nerdiest thing, but we love it. Is there anything else, Evelina, you want to share with the audience before we wrap up this awesome episode?
Yeah, I guess just to like really look at email marketing as a part of your sales strategy, because it really is that. A lot of the time, the socials is like, really marketing heavy, but sales is just as important, and it doesn't have to be done in a sleazy or like really tacky way. it can be done like in a really genuine way where people are really happy to learn more from you. Like you were saying, Sandra, your favorite emails are the ones that are honest and real. And especially now, we live in such a digital world that this human to human connection is what we all crave and we run towards. So if you are like more open, of course, have your boundaries and honest with your audience and genuine and sharing things that are actually happening in your life, that's going to make you so relatable. And when they're ready, they will come to you for your services or your offers or products. So I hope that was helpful to get to wrap your head around some email marketing in a non-complicated way, because I know there's so much information out there and marketers do a really good job at overcomplicating things a lot of the time. It really doesn't need to be like that.
Yeah, agree. Well, I'm very happy to have had you here in this episode. I'm excited. People, please connect. As you can see, she's very genuine. She's very relatable. You can just go ahead and contact her. I'll make sure, like I said, to include all the links below. If you have any questions, if you feel shy, if you feel overwhelmed about this topic, ask the questions, leave them below in the episode, contact us, and please contact Evelina to help you with this, because I feel like this, like, with you're saying it is a part of our sales strategy, and it can be a very powerful part of our sales strategy. So I encourage everyone to give this, more than a thought, but just really think about it and see how it can change everything. Thank you, Evelina, so much for being here today and sharing all your wisdom. I'm excited. And guys, again, if you have any questions, let us know, and we'll see you in our next episode. Okay, bye guys. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. I just wanted to let you know that the membership is now open. So if you need support growing your brand, getting it visible, establishing it, and getting consistent sales, please take a look at the membership. In there, you can get support every day for a very affordable price. I answer your questions. I give you content, motivation, and different things to help you along the way. So if you're interested, I'm going to leave a link below. Let me know if you have any questions, okay? Bye, guys.